for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENOM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's up guys, Venom Fire here, back with another video, and today we're going to be bringing you guys my full Madden 22 beta thoughts now that the beta is over. Now I'm going to be honest, as far as how much I played the beta right when it came out, I was super excited. Of course, I played a lot of games then, probably around 45 to 50 games in the span of around one weekend league's length. So I did play a lot of games. I kind of burned myself out, which wasn't very smart, but of course, I went back, played some franchise. I would play games here and there. So, of course, might not be completely different from what I've said originally or in the beginning, but of course, we do have some new points, and I want to bring up my overall summary, overall points of the actual beta, so that you guys can get a better understanding of what the game will actually be like or what to hopefully expect EA to fix. Also, it's going to be what I am hoping EA to fix and what I filled out in my actual feedback on the beta website. So we're gonna hop straight into just a couple of different things. I want to start out with of course, the player movement. Now, I've heard people say player movement is a thing that cannot be fixed. You cannot change the player movement, but that's just simply not true. The biggest reason why I say that that's not true is mainly because of the differences that were made as far as Madden 21 Next Gen goes to the Madden 22 beta. There were some nice improvements as far as the player movement is concerned. It definitely got a little bit smoother, and it was overall improved, but it's still very slow, very sluggish, and it's overall not the best that it could be, to be completely honest with you. So the biggest reason that I want it improved is because I've already seen the improvements from that Madden 21 to Madden 22, and that shows me that they could probably make it a little bit smoother, make it a little bit more cleaner, while still giving it a complete realistic look. Of course, it's never going to be super realistic, and I'm fine with it looking less realistic as long as it feels better on the game. That's me personally. Of course, some people would probably disagree with that actual statement. But as far as it is concerned, I do would like it to be a little bit more smooth and clean. Sim players would disagree, but that's going to be our first point. Again, I'm going to try and summarize it. I'm not going to go down 10 bullet points, of course, but we're going to summarize some of the main things that I want to be fixed. The next thing that's going to be our issue is going to be the deep zones, which EA has already said that they're going to tune and fix, but I want to go into some of the specifics as far as it's concerned. Overall, I feel like the click-ons are just a little bit slow, and overall your deep zones just do not play responsive. I want them to feel a little bit quicker than they are, of course, just because a player is not running, for 60 yards. Of course, maybe the wide receiver has a little bit more momentum or acceleration. You could say that does not mean that my safety, when I click onto him, should be super slow and be unable to get to a play when he either has the same speed rating or a little bit slower or even faster speed rating. He should not be able to, or he should be able to get to that ball and potentially make a play on it. That's something that I want to be fixed in particular. But of course, cover 3 beaters, cover 2 beaters, zones breaking down is going to be probably our main issue as far as that's concerned. And mainly just, random breakdowns in coverage. You'll see someone just run in the wrong spot. Basic tuning issues are mainly the issue that I would have with the zones, pretty much as far as that is concerned. So, of course, deep zones is going to be on the list. Again, not going to bash them too much because they said they would fix that before the beta started, and I found that out quick after I put it in my video because honestly I didn't know that. EA has me blocked on Twitter, so can't see all that stuff that they tweet. But next thing that we're going to go ahead and talk about is going to be the QB contains, and this has been talked about by a couple of people. I've seen it already, so most of you guys probably know about this if you were in the beta. The contains do not work. They're an unworkable feature. They do not contain the pocket. And you would find that out quickly if you were playing the game against Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Watson, any QB with any kind of mobility, and you would be torched because really QB running in general, which might be one of our next points, is pretty dang good this year. And I noticed that the QBs do not get super fatigued as long as you're sliding, as long as you're staying on the ground. The quarterbacks have relatively good stamina. So in a QB scramble based game where it's going to be effective, and it's effective in every Madden, it's always better, but Madden 21, it wasn't needed as much. You saw many pro players were able to succeed without scrambling quarterbacks, and you did not necessarily need them to be good this year. But Madden 22, you will need contains to work, and they just do not completely work. So that is going to be, of course, just a basic issue as far as that is completely concerned. So those are 3 main points, just 3 big things. We're going to go into some of our sub points, some of our smaller things that I would like addressed, and it's going to begin with some of the catching animations that I want to talk about very briefly, because I did think the catching was good. But one thing is, if you have a player who has that doesn't make possession catch traits, I noticed that they just never are able to do it now. I'm not sure if that's been the same in past years or if it's changed up, but that's one small problem I had, is that like a guy like DJ Moore, he will not possession catch the ball no matter what. He just refuses to make the possession catch, and overall he won't do it. So that's a small thing, and I could be completely wrong about that, but that's just something that I noticed when I was using the Panthers, because I do like the Panthers in this game. Of course, backfield master is going to be good. Next thing, moving on to QB releases. You got to make the QB releases a little bit better, just a little bit more usable, because otherwise the only team you will see used is going to be the Packers. The Packers will be the only team in regs that are pretty much usable, kind of the same as Madden 21. You saw everybody use the Packers in that Madden Classic, and everybody will use the Packers this year, unless, of course, they are fixed. Now, I do think that the competitive scene is going to be played on next gen this year. I think that's what I saw. Not sure, don't quote me on that, but that is what I saw, what I think. And of course, even more so than current gen, QB releases are a little bit more important than that, just because of how slow the player movement is. So you throw something that you think is open, and then your player just doesn't get to it. So QB release is very important. If you don't have Gunslinger, your player won't be able to make a throw. So you'll see quickly whoever can get Gunslinger and Ultimate Team will be the QB that is going to be used, very similar to Madden 21. That's a big issue of mine personally. The next thing that I'm going to be addressing is going to be the defensive line sheds, and this is a big issue that not a lot of people have shed light on. Shed, ironic enough, but the defensive line sheds are pretty wild in this game, and it's going to be kind of the same. You'll see, because of how good the sheds are, you'll see a lot of 2-man rush like we did in Madden 21. Not specifically out of the 3-3-5 wide, but pretty much out of any potential formation. And that's because specifically the defensive tackle, the interior defensive lineman, I'll say interior defensive lineman, splits double teams way too easily. So I'll put splits double teams easily just right here for you guys to understand a little bit better. But guys like Grady Jarrett, Chris Jones, Kenny Clarks of the world, Fletcher Coxes of the world will shed. Even I've seen, Eric Armstead, those big, Cameron Haywards, they just split defensive, or they split any kind of a double team very easily. I've had post-up abilities. They don't really help too much. They do help a little bit, I've noticed, but of course they don't help completely. And I just feel like every time I look, and I completely forgot the most glitchy player, Aaron Donald, which might even want to bring an entire section on him because he is insanely good in this game. But yeah, they just split the defensive or the offensive line way too easily. Double teams, even triple teams, they shed instantly. The animations seem to be a little bit biased. Of course, you could have a good D lineman, even if it's too bad O lineman. He's double teamed, so you should at least be able to hold him for a good amount of time. That would make sense, but it seems like just instantaneously they double team, and that's going to take us to our next kind of co-issue, which will be the offensive lineman not doing anything, or let's put O lineman standing around. So pretty much what I'm going to talk about with the O lineman standing around, I guess I'm going to have to type 2 separate words, but let's say an O lineman's not in the play, and you'll see this. They either get shedded, they're out of the play, or let's say they straight up aren't blocking anybody, and this would be the case if they're blitzing a left interior defensive lineman and a left end off that left side of the defensive line. So if you see that, of course, then you're going to have a couple of guys standing around. You're not going to, be triple teaming a guy. So your right tackle will usually be standing around. So let's say that defensive lineman's going to shed up the middle. Then your right tackle is going to be standing. Usually you just be able to slide to the right. He's going to pick him up. You can step back up in the pocket, throw whatever you want. But that's actually not the case. And it seems like they just stand there and they do absolutely nothing. I've never really seen more than a couple of times out of the double-digit attempts that I've done with getting shedded and with getting blitzed off the edge, where an extra O-lineman will actually pick up a block. So that's something that I do hope to get fixed. That was one of my bigger issues that really I didn't see a whole lot of people talking about. I did see people talking about the defensive lineman sheds, but I didn't see many people talking about how the extra offensive linemen don't seem to pick up. And that's always kind of been an issue. I didn't feel like it was too bad in Madden 21 current gen. Again, I didn't play a whole lot of Madden 21 next gen. It was definitely way worse than current gen, but as far as Madden 22 is concerned, they kind of stand there and they do pretty much absolute nothing. This is another issue that I'm going to talk about that was brought up by a couple pro players. I do think Skimbo actually posted this on his list that he posted on Twitter. But pass leads. I didn't have too many issues, but there were a couple of passes where the pass leads either led to incompletions, they led to interceptions just based upon the way that I led them. Also, leading up in either the seams or on the outside seemed to cause a little bit of issues. Of course, if I were to lead it, inside, it seemed like it went a little bit too far inside. Just things like that, couple of tuning issues. It wasn't a huge issue for me personally, and that might just be the way that I play. I don't attack the field too vertically, up the middle, throwing streaks and things like that. But, of course, depends on the offense. It could be an issue for you guys. But, yeah, that is a pretty small issue. Again, of course, really depends on the type of player that you actually are. But yeah, that's going to be our next point. The last thing that we're going to talk about that might not be a complete issue, and of course this is it is a review. I'm not really talking about the positives necessarily. I want to talk about the things that should be fixed, and this is really what a lot of people are probably doing, because it's not the full game. When the full game comes out, of course there will be a lot more positives, but this is the beta, and the beta is intended to find out negative things. So before you go to the comments and start complaining about why I'm just crapping on the game, you got to understand that it's a beta. This is the intent of a beta, to find bugs, to find glitches, to try and find things that they can fix before the actual game is released. So that's pretty much exactly what I'm doing with this, just as far as it is concerned. But with that point being said, the last thing I'm going to talk about is these, I think they're called M factors. Again, I don't really know. Geez, I'm good at spelling, but M factors, I think is what they're called. Of course, these aren't super big of an issue, because if you didn't know, they're not going to be in MUT or weekend leagues, so that's going to be very, very good. I'm very glad that they used common sense and did not add that, but they are in regs, and they are a little bit weird in regs. Now, I don't think any of them are super overpowered. I do think Denver's one's pretty good. Some of them just don't seem to be super balanced. If I'm playing bad, I already have the chip stack against me in the psychological momentum of the game. I'm playing bad, he's playing good. You have to obviously overcome that if you're going to win a game. Not only that, but then you have a couple of things stacked up against you in the actual coding of the game with these little weird factors. Of course, if I'm getting cheated by the game, and then the game actually has things that are going to be cheating me, like one of my icons isn't showing up, I only have wind against me, just weird stuff like that. I feel like it can be a little bit annoying. Of course, this is definitely intended more for the sim style players, which I think can be good, but some of them, I would just be more of a fan of having the one thing, but some of them are they don't really make sense in regards to the stadium, like run blocking or running plays won't fatigue any of your players, stuff like that. And I understand they want to have smaller things, but I would just stick with the one thing if it were me, but it is what it is. I think it's a pretty good idea. And of course they're testing it out, so if it's pretty bad, I'm sure they'll make some adjustments off that, but I do think it's kind of cool. I like that they're trying new stuff, so can't really complain too much about the stuff. And I didn't really have too many problems with it when I was actually playing. It didn't really affect the game a whole lot, but I could see how some people might be a little bit mad at it. Anyways, that's pretty much going to do it for the video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button. Let me know in the comments what you would add to this list, what you would take away. Let me know how you enjoyed the beta, if you were able to play it, or if you weren't, how this helped you and what you're looking forward to. But again, like this video, subscribe to the channel down below, and follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. Peace. I'm out of here.